Right here, I have a book I wrote when I was like 9. It's a short story, and it's called Vampula. And I'm going to read it to you today. It's going to be an interesting experience because I found this recently. I found this book recently, and I'm just like, what's it all about? So let's have a read through. Okay, here's the opening. It all started in 1994, and Josh was walking home from school. All of a sudden, something grabbed him. Then, before he knew it, he had bite marks. It was odd, but he was still alive. Somehow. He looks more dead than alive. I saw him, but he didn't talk at all. He looked at me like he was looking into my skull. It was odd to me.
If somebody's looking into my skull, that'd be freaky.
Fangs and ran after me. I screamed as I ran. He was so close, but he didn't bite me. He turned into a bat and left, leaving me alone. I feared as I watched him fly away. I thought the next day he would show, but he did not. I was happy to have friends, but was not my friend. He was pure evil. Then the next day I saw something odd and looked county well.
My handwriting in this, it's kind of hard to read, so if I mispronounce some things, it's either because I didn't write it very well or, you know. But as you can see in this page here that I'm reading, yeah, my handwriting isn't that great in this. Kind of hard to read.
Okay, where am I? Oh, the news miss straw was missing. All of a sudden it came to me in a flash. It was Josh, he did. And then the police noticed a bite mark on her. I went to find Josh to see what happened. I was running, and the last thing I saw was a bat coming right after me with its eyes real wide. I was so tired, and I fell asleep. Then I was a prisoner of Josh, but all I wanted to do is get out. But I felt said, "Sir, may I serve you?" And he said, "Yes, gather your friends to a party, but this is no party."
Okay, apparently I tried to introduce some kind of girl character. Don't know where she came from. And now there's a party segment, and I just added it in there. It's not supposed to be a party, but I don't even know what this is. I'm reading through it, and I'm just having a tough time understanding what the main point I was trying to get at. I was 9 when I wrote this, so probably trying to understand a 9-year-old.
I had to run. Before I could, I shrinked into a bat and went after my friends. And when I saw them, I turned back into a human, I think, and invited them to a party. It was at the top of a canyon hill. I was creeped out when I saw them enter and actually bit them all on the neck. I was shocked that I did that, but one was missing. I saw him, and he acted aced. I don't even know what this word is.
Some of these words, I just can't even.
I saw him, and he, whatever that word is, I was dead, but the leader wasn't. He took angrily at him and attacked now. We all were vampires, except me. I lay there dead, never to return. All of the vampires went out to find more victims that night.
Okay, I think I wrote this story from the perspective of a dead guy. Try again. I think I wrote this story from a perspective of a dead guy. I don't even know. I don't even know where I'm going with this story. But I must continue.
Lay there dead, never to return. All of the vampires went out to find more victims that night. I think I already read that part, so I'll just continue on. I found out that more of them were out of school every day. So one day, Jake and Brandon were taking a walk to see what were people talking about. They did not like to believe they were attacked by the king. Then Ed stepped in.
I added myself to the story. Don't know what I'm doing there, but I don't even know. I don't even know what the story's going anymore.
Then Ed stepped in. He went after the king of vampires, Josh and Brandon or Bernard. He was determined to find him. John, he said to the slave vampire, it didn't make sense to him when the king vampire go ahead to him. So he bit him on the back. He was still alive and shoot the bat. He was dead, but they never found him, ever. They found one thing, his head, but it was all skeleton. It was odd, but they seemed to have found two heads. I wish I could tell you this is the end, but the story has just begun. There's still more in the story.
Jeez, I thought we were getting to the end of the story. It's getting stupid.
So it contus that the skeleton that was the bat didn't really, some of this is just, I can't even read this. Some attack by the king had another trick up his sleeves. It was to draw, I don't know, by hitting a girl, so he went to find her. The vampire was on his way when he saw Lizzie McGuire. He bit her and she lied there until she saw her fangs and her face. She was a Vampula slave, never to be.
The only thing I have in my mind as I'm reading this paragraph is, why did I write Lizzie McGuire into the story? I don't even think I watched that show that much. Okay, I watched it a little bit, but I don't know. I don't even know.
Had her own trick, and they never knew it. It was too late. They found themselves with a stacked in them, hurt, and the head vampire was still alive, even though they still had a stack in them, but never to find. It was odd to find yourself in a tricky situation. Lizzie did. It didn't know that when I got killed, but all of a sudden I was back. Okay, what?
Okay, as I'm reading this paragraph, I create a character who's killed off and is never supposed to come back. And he comes back. What? What?
I didn't know that when I got killed, but all of a sudden I was back. I was still not human, but back within lots and lots of revenges. Okay. But not to these person who killed me, the head vampire. So I knew what to do. The attack at midnight. So I did, bit all, it came back. at me and I was down. Never to look back again. I was gone. I had my chance. I died and never came back. What?
What? What?
She ran off to get away from him, but she didn't and found herself surrounded by, I guess, vampires of some kind. There's a word before the vampires, but I can't even make sense of that word. She never made it out alive, and she never get out of that mess. Well, she did. She had a secret weapon. Her fist.
A fist is a secret weapon. I've got two of them. Whoa.
And she punched him, and he got her back too, but she wasn't hurt. Okay. It's now a fist fight. She was traumatized. Also, she ran back to the school, but all of the minions were determined not to let her get away from them. They were determined to get her someday. It was odd, but he never saw it coming. Then came to the rescue. He was really mad at the king of the vampires for attacking his friends and family, so he ran to see the king and put the sword through him. I think it's sword. So he tried, but he failed, and ended up flying out of a skyscraper. It was so high he thought he was going to die, but he didn't. He lived somehow. One saved his fall. He had someone else jump. It was Josh. He was shrinked and went after. Bound. He was so creeped out when he never looked back from his sight. Was his eyes deceiving him, or was he bitten? He was still alive. He thought he wasn't. He was a vampire from the vampire colony. Very evil vampire you ever seen. He was so scary that he could make you want your parent. I guess like crying for them or something like that. Something like that. I don't even.
I don't even know.
But that didn't matter. He was ready to bite anyone he saw. It was insane. That's when Paul something. I think I wrote a character's long name, but I don't know what the heck it means. Some things he grabbed, and it ran after the bat, and whoever came back never. At least not in his human form anyways. So no one knew what ever happened to Paul, but I do. He's a slave who's now proud of what he'd done. Even though you don't know what happens, you may never know what I'm going to tell you. A Noah's horror story of Vampula's secret. Be ready to be chilled. Score's not.
Have you ever read a story and counted the pages till the ending? Got a few more, but I'm really counting till the end.
Even though you don't know what happens and stuff, ready to be chilled. I think I already read through that part here. Vampires didn't find one secret that we have. We all are humans. That's the secret? Okay. The young seismic world was their way of saying you're crazy or something else, or yada yada blah blah blah. Let's get to the vampires. They are chillers. All of a sudden I saw blood dripping off something's face, and I ran. I knew it was next. eye line. I was right next to the eye line, I guess. So I ran till I hit the subway. Caddy was there, and great me. So was my mom and dad, and we were not going. Pretty soon we had company. It was the head vampire. We didn't know he got there. The only thing he did know was he was dead. He was bitten, and told them, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think I'm just gonna cut to the ending here. There's a nice picture, because the rest of that page was just unreadable. Just unreadable. And this is my old drawing right here from like when I was 9. That's all I used to draw. Okay, let's skip to the ending. I fell out of the head vampire's house thinking something had gone wrong, but weird enough, the head vampire was dead. Or was he? The end. I wrote this a long time ago, but it's like hard to read. I like found it recently, and I was like, hey, why don't I decide to read through it for all of you guys. I don't know if it even counts as a story. It's hard to read, first of all. It's hard to understand what's going on. And more characters come back to life in it than probably should. I think the main point I got from it, from reading it, was that that there's a head vampire. He's the bad guy, and watch out for him, because he may or may not come back. That's about all I got from this book. And to tell you what I really think about this book after reading it, that I wrote the story, let me just show you what I really think of this book.